Hello and welcome to Double Entry Bookkeeping, and today what we're going to do is we're going to do the matching concept, which is called Accruals Accounting, but I'm going to use the matching concept because it makes it a little bit easier to understand at the start. Accruals Accounting sort of drags you into the technical term very quickly. This is for my AAT Level 3 students, but is a fundamental principle of accounting and is used for all accountants, so useful for everybody. So what we've got written here is what we're going to do today. In terms of our aims, we're going to understand a concept within accountancy, and it's called truth and fairness. So we're going to understand that. We're going to analyse the impact of invoice accounting, sometimes known as cash accounting, on the accounts, in particular with respect to truth and fairness. How that means that they won't be true and either truthful or fair, and therefore that's going to require us to make a series of period-end journals to move to something called accruals accounting, which I'm also going to sort of say is matching expenses to income and matching both of those to correct periods of time. This kind of idea of matching. And we're going to consider the need for these journals and then in the next set of videos, we're going to go through each of these individual ones which I sort of suggest within the unit is required, and then I'll give you the detailed accounting for each of those items, which I'll list as specific in videos so you can sort of go straight to that if you want to. So, what's been going on so far? Well, to date, in the previous level 2, and also as well within the first and second video of this series, we've been using something called invoice accounting. And so our general ledgers have been based upon the receipt of financial documents. So no financial document, no general ledger entry. Okay. So unless we had a bank statement showing something that was missing from the cash book, we haven't been posting there. Unless we had a supplier invoice or a purchase invoice, no posting to the general ledgers. Unless we receive something within the cash book, no general ledger entry. So, what does that sort of mean then in terms of truth and fairness? Well, our financial statements should be prepared in such a way that they're both truthful and fair. What does that mean? Well, they're going to be accurate, and they're going to be a fair reflection of both the financial position, remember our balance sheet, and also the operations of the entity over time. So we've got to get some kind of idea that they're going to be accurate and they're going to be fair. And the best way to understand this is just simply to go through some examples for each item. So let's say we take non-current assets, also termed as fixed assets, and these are things that are not owned by the business directly for sale. These are things that are used by the business to be used over a period of time. So for example, computers or computers for a normal business, not a PC world or whatever, or a car that we're using or vans that we're going to drive around with, or the buildings. So today what we've done is we've posted our fixed assets, and when we've straight to the general ledger when we've been invoiced for them. So we bought a car, or when we've paid from the banks, we bought this car, let's say for £10,000 cash. Let's say we call it a van. Bought a van for £10,000 worth of cash. We've gone debit vans, credit bank, and that's what we've seen in the accounts. We keep driving this round for a number of years, but we don't actually, even though we've been using it over many years, and we've been getting our use out of this, and this van's been going down and down in value, we don't do anything to the accounts yet until we sell it. So either until we sell it or we dispose of it, we scrap it. But there's nothing actually done in these accounts with this van, even though we're using it each year. Now, the value of this asset has been going down each year, so our statement of financial position has not been right, because it's been having this van at £10,000 worth of value. And our statement of financial performance hasn't been right either, because each year we've had this loss of value of this van that should really have been charged to that particular year, but doesn't actually get charged until, let's say, the 5th year when we sell off the van. Let's say we sell it off for £1,000 in the 5th year, and we've had our use out of it. So in the 5th year, we're going to get a loss on the disposal of the fixed asset of £9,000, and really that loss was actually shared out in the previous 5 years. So what do we need then to adjust that? Because that's clearly not truthful or fair in terms of a statement of financial position at the end of each year or the performance year to year. All that's happened really is this is just a simple timing difference between when we actually end up selling this van. So what we're going to do here is each year we're going to make a charge to the accounts for the reduction in the value of the van. I'll take you through that one in another video, exactly what we're going to do. Let's now look at something called inventory. So to date, we've received a supplier invoice, a purchase invoice, and we posted it to purchases. So we've had the cost that goes in there, and that's been our expense to the period. In terms of our cash accounting, what we sort of paid out in there, or what we've changed our creditor, we've got this figure, and that's what's gone into our purchases. But what if at the end of the year we had some of this stock, this inventory left over? Wasn't really a cost then in that year, was it? Because actually this stock will be used in the following year, so really it's a cost to the following year. So accounts won't be really truthful and fair if they include the cost of this stock that wasn't really used in the year that we bought it in, but was actually used in a future year. So we need to remove those costs. Now what if also as well we started the year with some of this stock, but we actually used it in the year? Then really that wasn't really a cost in last year, it was a cost in this year. So we need to move that opening stock cost into the sales for the year that they actually relate to. So we've got inventory or stock that we're going to have to adjust, because otherwise our accounts won't be truthful or fair. Now doubtful debts. Now previously, to date, you've only really been recognising debtors when you've been told that you're absolutely certain that the debt was irrecoverable, so irrecoverable debts. But what if you sort of had a good inkling that the debt was irrecoverable? You hadn't quite been told by the administrator that it's definitely not irrecoverable yet, or you've got a whole series of debts, so hundreds and hundreds of debts and millions of pounds worth of debtors in your accounts. You don't really know who has gone bankrupt yet, but you've got a pretty good idea that somebody somewhere is not going to pay your amounts. So it's highly likely that some of these things are irrecoverable already. So we've got our debtors figure within our accounts, but that's not really what we're going to get back, and we're going to get a lower figure in. So our accounts really aren't truthful and fair, or a fair reflection of what that money's really worth. We might have £1 million worth of debtors in there, but really we're only going to recover £950,000 of it. So if we hold that £1 million of debtor in there at full value, at the full million, the reader of the account's thinking that this is worth £1 million, but it's not really. It's not going to convert into £1 million, it's going to convert into £950,000 worth of money. So we need to provide for doubtful debts. So we'll take you through how we're going to do for that. Now, we've also got our expenses. So to date, we've only really recognised expenses when we've received an invoice. So we've only received, only actually sort of recognised an expense when we received an invoice. So let's say we've done some work, or we had some work done, or supply for us, £1 million before the end of the year, but we've not received the invoice yet. And because we've not received the invoice, it's not appeared in the accounts. So we look like we got £1 million more in terms of profit than we really have. So our accounts really aren't then truthful and fair, because all this was a timing of an invoice. Really, the work's been done. We should have had the expense in there, but we've not received it yet. What happens though, alternatively, if we've received this invoice, but we've received it in advance? So we paid in advance of this expense, and actually the expense is going to be in the next financial period. Again, the financial accounts aren't going to be truthful and fair, because they've got an expense within them that actually doesn't relate to this period. It relates to a future period. So again, our accounts wouldn't be truthful and fair that way. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to adjust for expenses not received, accruals, and we're going to adjust for expenses not yet incurred but invoiced, prepayments. Now, next set of adjustments, and let's say we've got some shareholder withdrawals. And so today, we've recognised expenses when they're invoiced and paid, and we've got these expenses, but what if the expense really was associated by the shareholder, so their wages or some purchases that they took out themselves? It wasn't really actually the purchases, it was shareholder drawings. So we're going to adjust our financial statements where we're going to move some expenses that were really for the shareholder, and we're going to move them into drawings. Probably as well, though, this one is not as much of a sort of a timing issue or whatever that we're seeing within the other ones. This is more of, you could almost see that this is drifting into almost an error kind of approach, really, and an adjustment for that. But typically these are done at the end of the year, so year-end adjustments. So that is what we're going to, that's the matching concept. We're going to go through that in detail. So In the next set of videos, what we're going to account for then is accounting for inventory. So we're going to see how we're going to move our sort of purchase costs between years, depending upon opening and closing stock. We're going to have accruals and prepayments. So we're going to see how expenses are going to be moved in between years, depending upon whether they've been which period they actually relate to and when we've received the invoice, the timing of invoices. We're going to have the same sort of side for accrued and deferred income, when we're going to recognise income, depending on when we've invoiced it and when we've not. We're also going to account for non-current assets, also known as fixed assets. This idea that we are going to sort of make a charge to each year, depending upon the loss of value or the use of this asset, rather than just the one whole charge right at the end when we dispose of this asset. We're going to account for doubtful debts as well, making a provision for possible doubtful debts, and we're also going to do an adjustment for shareholder withdrawals, which I've already said is akin a little bit to more like an error adjustment, really, sort of similar to that, rather than the timings one of the other sort of 5 in here, but that's what we're going to do. So hopefully that was what we're going to do, what we've done in this set of video, and I'll see you again soon for the next set. Thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.